Yes.
Go ahead. We're being recorded, guys. Class is being recorded, so be very mindful of that. This is posted on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, MySpace, TikTok. No, I learned it was TikTok. I was calling it TikTok the whole time. Apparently it's TikTok, huh? So today, my lesson, I received confirmation today from God also as we were doing worship. I always ask you guys, do we know what we're singing about? Do we know what the meaning is behind these songs? And I had this message since last week. Well, I've had it for a while now. I was prepared to give it yesterday just in case. So God is going to bless you guys with it today. Let's go to Luke chapter 19. Everybody, Luke chapter 19. Write it down on the board. Chapter 19. So who remembers the first song that we did today in worship, other than the worship group?
Does the worship team remember the first song?
Yes. Number what? Does anybody know who that person was, Zacchaeus, in the Bible?
A rich guy.
A rich guy. Does anybody know why he was rich?
Tax.
He was taxed. He was a tax collector. Me and Sister Letty have been watching this series on TV. It's called The Chosen. Who's heard of The Chosen before? It's a very popular series that's been going around right now. It's about the Bible. It's kind of like a Netflix series, but it's not on Netflix. It's its own app. It's called The Chosen. So it tells stories about the Bible. And we were watching this, and it talks about, it has a story about Jesus, but it also goes into other stories like some of the disciples. And one thing that I saw, that when we read something, we read it, but we see it a different way when we watch it on TV or we watch it happen right in front of us. And I was watching this, and they were talking about a tax collector. And I didn't know he was a tax collector yet, because I remember the scene popped up. It started with a bunch of sandals lined up, maybe 5 or 6 pairs of sandals, right? And first thing the Sister Lady said was like, wow, that's a lot of sandals. And I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know who this person is, but they haven't introduced us yet to this character. So I see that this character is very nicely dressed, has very good garments on, has a lot of nice sandals lined up, probably like Brother Danny has a bunch of nice sneakers lined up in a row, all nice and clean, ready to wear for that day. And right off the bat, I noticed, like I said, he had nice clothing on. And I was like, okay, again, I don't know who this character is, but we're about to find out. So this character is trying to get into the city, and he's trying to get transported. He's trying to get some transportation into the city. But he has to go in there hidden. He has to go in there secretly. And again, I don't know what's going on. I'm barely looking at this. They haven't said no names, no nothing. And I'm wondering, why is this person trying to go in there secretly? So he gets into a wagon. Well, first he finds this guy, and he tells this guy, can you transport me to so-and-so? And the guy's like, it's very dangerous. If somebody sees me taking you, we're going to get in trouble. It's going to be a problem. I'm going to get in trouble. So this guy, what he does is he puts him in the back of his wagon, and he covers up the wagon, and he takes him in, and he drops him off in some random spot, and he tells him, you got to get off here, man. I can't take you any further. So he's walking down the streets, and there's people walking, and as they're looking at him, they're giving him the dirtiest looks ever. I'm like, why are they looking at this guy like that, They're just giving him dirty looks. They're almost disgusted by him as they see him walking by. Remember, he's wearing nice clothes. He's wearing nice sandals. Back in the day, clothes used to cost a lot. It used to be, if you were wealthy, you had a lot of clothes. If you weren't wealthy, you probably had one or two changes of clothes, and that was it. Nowadays we have an infinite amount of clothes in our closets, right? I know I do. The other day, I'm not kidding, I have a lot of clothes that I haven't seen in a long time, and something popped in the middle of the night, and the next day I woke up and I found out that it was a closet. The thing just fell down because of all the clothes that I had, so I had to toss a lot of stuff. But I'm seeing this guy walking down the street, and people are giving him dirty looks. I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this person? Come to find out, he's a tax collector. Who knows what a tax collector is? Anybody? Gio?
That collects money.
Okay, collects money from who?
Poor.
The people. Not just the poor, but the people in general. So that's why they were giving them dirty looks, because these people, tax collectors, back in the day, they used to take money from people. Well, not take it. Everybody has to pay taxes, right? So even back in the day, they paid taxes, but the way that they made their living is charging extra money off of these people. Say Jesse owes $3,000 in taxes, the tax collector would be like, I'm going to charge him $3,500. Okay, so they're giving them dirty looks because this guy's a thief and he's robbing these people, but there's nothing they can do because they have to collect these taxes from them. So they have to make their money off of them. And so it reminded me of this, and like I said, I got confirmation today from God when Brother Jesse played that first song, Como Saqueo. You know, who knows who Zacchaeus was again? A tax collector, right? So let's open up our Bibles and let's learn a little bit about Zacchaeus and who he was as a person and what his life was about. Who can read me Luke chapter 19, verses 1 and 2? Volunteer, anybody?
Luke chapter 19, 1 and 2.
Luke chapter 19, verses 1 and 2. Alexis, how about you read Luke chapter 19, verses 1 and 2?
Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through a man that was there by the name of Zacchaeus, the area said. Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy.
So it says, again, verse 2, it says, Now behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus who was a chief, not just a regular tax collector, but a chief tax collector. Meaning that this guy was not only making money off of the people, but he was making money off of the other tax collectors. So these tax collectors would tax the people, and then he would go to them and tax them. So you could just imagine how much money he was making. And that's why at the end of the verse it says he was rich. You know, I can imagine this guy had all these sandals lined up in his home, had a nice house, nice clothing. You know, these guys were thieves, but they were, I guess you could call them a legal thief. You know, they were stealing money, but they were doing it legally and illegally. They were taking it from the people, but they were charging the people more, and he was charging other tax collectors. So, again, I've told you guys before, there's a reason to stories in the Bible. There's a reason for passages in the Bible. Yes, Sister Lady? Oh, did he? Oh,
That's perfect.
Oh, it is, huh? Okay.
One thing, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but one thing that Pastor had to tell us last time he was here is that he actually wanted us to go in there and stay during service. So if he does call upon us, we do not go to service.
If.
Is he
That's
here?
just a big if.
Yes, he just walked in.
No.
Oh!
Guys,
We're in the
let's
middle
keep
of the
positive.
Okay, let's continue. So he was a cheap tax collector. You guys can just imagine if there was cars back then, he probably would have had the nicest cars. A Ferrari, a Benz, a BMW, a Bentley. You know, these guys were loaded. They had money. You know, they were thieves. They were taking from the people. So in verse 3, it says, and he saw, or let me go back to verse 1 actually. It says, Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. So Jesus, what he did in his time here on earth was he traveled a lot. He did a lot of miracles. He traveled with his disciples. You know, he wanted the people to see that he came here humbly. You know, he didn't want people to think, oh, this guy's rich, he got money. You know, no, he was poor, he was humble. Everything he did, like I told you guys yesterday, when Jesus did a miracle, he didn't tell people, go tell everybody what I did. He would tell them, just keep it to yourselves, don't worry about it, you know, you've been blessed. And back in the day when other people did healings, like the Pharisees and stuff like that, they wanted people to know because they wanted to glorify themselves. So Jesus was traveling, Jesus was always traveling, you know, along the way a lot of people came up to him. They were seeking blessings, they were seeking to be healed from whether it was a disease, whether it was a problem, a situation. They knew who he was because they heard a word of mouth. Does anybody know what word of mouth is? That means me telling Danny something, Danny tells Jesse, Jesse tells Alexis, Alexis tells 2 people, he tells 3 people. So it spreads, you know? That what? No, it's not chismosos, because that wasn't being, you know. It's like if you tell somebody something good, eventually it's gonna spread around because one person tells another and it starts spreading. So that's how people found out about Jesus. So when Jesus was coming and walking, he would come with a lot of people. And I could just imagine how many people were around him. It was probably hundreds of thousands of people around him. That in the Bible it tells stories like for example, Bartimaeus. You know, he had to yell out to get Jesus' attention. That's how many people were around. Have you guys ever been around a lot of people where it's so loud that you can't even hear yourself think? Now imagine when Jesus was walking and the people were following him, the multitudes would follow him, and how loud it was. People being loud, people calling out after him, people trying to get his attention. You know, so he was walking, he was traveling on his way to Jericho. And what's going on right here is in verse 3, it says about Zacchaeus. So it says about Zacchaeus, he's talking about Zacchaeus, he says, and he sought to see Jesus, but could not because of the crowd, for he was short of stature. Who knows what that means, short of stature?
He's short.
He was short, he was small. I don't want to say nothing, Brother Gio, you're young, you're small. Now imagine Brother Gio trying to see somebody, and there's a bunch of adults there, everybody's taller than him, because he's a young kid, he's only what, 11 years old? 10 years old, so he hasn't grown to be his full height. You know, a lot of us are still short. I'm pretty short because now that I see Danny, you know.
Wasn't Zach young?
Huh? That what?
Wasn't he young? No.
Who was Zacchaeus?
Zacchaeus?
Zacchaeus. So he was short of stature. So imagine him trying to see Jesus with all these people around him. You know, he heard about Jesus as these people are walking by, and he wanted to see him. He was curious. Maybe he had a need inside of him.
Sorry, Pastor. I was saying I was waving back.
Oh.
So, let's pay attention, guys.
Sorry. Not sitting against that.
You're gonna have to stay after class for another 20 minutes. You're gonna vacuum the floors. So it says he was short of stature. A lot of us, maybe we're not short of stature, maybe we're not short in height, but we come up short when it comes to God. You know, we come up short when it comes to the things of God. You know, we come up short when you know, God is measuring us with a certain, he wants us to be this tall, but we're way down here because we refuse to let go of things that don't please God. You know, and this was, I see this as like a metaphor. It wasn't talking, I see it as not only was he short, but maybe he was short in the things of God. Maybe he wasn't pleasing God. He wasn't quite there yet, right, Carlos? He wasn't quite there yet, but he wanted to get there. He saw Jesus walking by, so he wanted to get there. That's what we're gonna get into right now. Brother Jesse, can you read verses 4? Just verse 4.
So he ran ahead and climbed up into the sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way.
So instead of Zacchaeus giving up and saying, "It's too many people around here, I'm not going to be able to see Jesus," what does he do? He climbs a tree. Sycamore tree, I don't know if you guys ever seen a sycamore tree. Google it, you know, but that's what he was climbing. That's what he was trying to get up. You know, he's trying to get, like the song says, "Como saqueo quiero subir a lo más alto que yo pueda." That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to get as high as he could so he could see Jesus over the multitude. He couldn't see him just standing there, but he had to do something in order to be able to see him. A lot of us, we might not be able to feel his presence. A lot of us might not be able to see him, but because we don't try to get closer to him. We don't try to read the Bible. What did I tell you guys yesterday? Sister Melissa was teaching us about prayer. How do we get closer to God? How do we get a relationship with God? It's through prayer, right? You know, a lot of us, we have that ability to get closer to Him, but we don't want to get closer to Him because other things are more important. You know, our phones are more important.
Pero también, si mira si conoces el árbol de sícamo, lo difícil que es,
Yeah.
lo difícil que fue para Saqueo subir a ese árbol.
Por eso les digo, if you guys don't know what a sycamore tree is, Google it and see. Sister Lady, can you Google it on your iPad, please, so we can see, we can show the class. You know, not only did he have to climb this tree to get over his short stature, but he also had to climb a tree that was very hard to climb.
Sycamore.
Let me get closer to the windows.
Sycamore.
No service?
Sycamore tree.
My service.
You put a sycamore tree.
I'm gonna Lion King it.
Sycamores.
Who found it? Alexis, did you find it?
Yeah.
Google sycamore.
No, I mean, I think that's hard for Franco.
So the point of this is it was not easy for him to get up there to climb, but he did whatever he had to do to be able to just see Jesus.
Here you go.
Ooh, never mind.
Oh, that's a big tree. Look, there's a little person next to it.
Little person.
That's the case.
Is that yours? I don't have a
Let's
service.
go to the window.
Es muy alto, pero muy liso.
Can you guys imagine trying to climb this tree right here?
I got it.
Anybody imagine trying to climb this tree?
I
Danny, you're tall enough. You don't even need to climb this tree.
You just reach out here and just go.
You know, so not only did he have to climb, but he had to climb something that was very hard to climb. But all of it was him making an intent to try to see Jesus. You know, just be able to see him in flesh. You know, he must have heard so many things about Jesus heals, Jesus sets you free, Jesus frees you from demons, Jesus can change your whole life around, and he heard these things and he wanted to know who this person was. You know, a lot of us, we don't have that want inside of us. I've told you guys before, just because you guys are young, I was talking about this yesterday, doesn't mean God can't do anything with you. He can do a lot of great things with you. But it takes up to you to be able to accept that calling. It takes from you to be able to want to be used. You know, a lot of us think just because I'm young, just because, you know, I'm only 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever, you know, 23 years old, Jesus can't use me. But he can. But it's up to you to want to be used. So in the next verse, so he ran ahead and climbed into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way. He knew he was going to pass. And verse 5 it says, and when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said to him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must stay at your house. So if we make that intent to get closer to Jesus, yeah, go ahead. Jesus sees that, just like I told Sister Damaris and Sister Lindsay. God sees their will to come to church and be able to come to service. You know, maybe sometimes it's just them two coming. You know, she told us the other day she just stole her mom's car and she didn't even tell her mom that she was coming. You know, I wouldn't suggest that, but you know, so Jason and James, I've seen you guys do it too before, where you guys come without your dad. You know, and sometimes it takes from you guys as youth to be able to bring your dad, your parents, whether it's your mom, your dad, whoever it is, to be able to bring them to church. You know, the three brothers or the four brothers right here. Pastora has already told me a story about how she didn't want to come to church, and she saw them wanting to come to church. You know, they came to church first with Pastor, and she saw that, and that's what made her come to church. You know, a lot of the times it's going to be you that's going to be dragging your parents here, but it's God using you guys. It's God being that bridge to be able to let your parents connect with God, and He's using you. You know, a lot of times I'm not pointing nobody's parents out, but parents don't want to come to church, but the youth will want to come to church. You know, a lot of the times it takes from parents to see that want and that will inside of you guys to say, you know what, God's doing something in my kid's life. What am I doing at home watching for TV? You know, what am I doing at home just, you know, watching movies and while my kid's at church? You know, I don't know what parents, when they stay home, I don't know what they do, but I'm assuming that's what they do, right? You know, I don't know. I don't know what goes on. You know, but it takes that's God using you guys. A lot of the times God's going to use you guys in ways that you don't see it, but right now at this moment you might not see it, but later down the line you're going to be like, wow, God was using me, I just didn't realize it at that moment. You know, but it took from, you know, from them wanting to come to church, from Brother Jesse, Danny, Alexis, and Carlos wanting to come to church for her mom to get here. And we're seeing that it took from Zacchaeus. He didn't care about being too short. He didn't care about not being able to see Jesus. He was going to see him no matter what. You know, a lot of us, that's the kind of attitude we gotta have. No matter what, I'm gonna make it to church. You know, no matter what, whatever it is, I'm gonna have to make it to church because I gotta come to church because I gotta get closer to God. I understand sometimes there's times, you know, when you can't make it, it's okay, but you know, you guys gotta have that will to get closer to God. That's the only way that we're gonna have a relationship with anybody is getting closer to them and talking to them. Just like Sister Melissa was saying yesterday, prayer is a way of us to talk to God. You know, God, he wants, Jesus wants to be our friend. He doesn't want to be like our master over us. He wants to be our friend, and he wants us to be able to see him as a friend. Right? He wants us the only way you're going to get to know somebody is talking to them. You know, the only way you're going to get to know God is trying to get closer to him and praying. And in verse 5 at the end it says, Jesus told him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must stay at your house. So remember, God's not going to come into your life and force his will on you. He's not going to come and say, I'm going to use you no matter what you want. I don't care what you want, but I'm going to use you. No, he's going to come to you and he's going to knock on that door. Just like he was telling Zacchaeus, he says, I must stay at your house. He didn't say, go to Zacchaeus' house, open the door, invite himself in and say, Zacchaeus, come on into your house. No, he told him, I must stay at your house. So he went with him. A lot of the times, you know, we think that God wants us to do things that we don't want to do. But sometimes we have to let go of certain things in order to be able to get closer to him. You know, we got to let go of that music that we listen to. We got to let go of that attitude that we have. We got to let go of, you know, a lot of things that don't please God. But we got to make that effort to try to get closer to him. So it says, so he made haste, and verse 6 it says, so he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. He didn't come down and say, oh, well, I guess let's go, you know. He says joyfully. He probably ran down that tree and was the happiest he's ever been in his life, because remember what I was telling you guys at the beginning, how people used to look at tax collectors. Nobody probably ever looked at him like that, and Jesus was probably the first person since he was born to ever look at him like that, to give him that look of love. Can you guys imagine nobody loving you, nobody liking you, and then one day this person comes along and says, come on, I want to go with you to your house. Gives you a look of love, you know, shows you love just with the look. A lot of times we show our emotions through our eyes. You know, I can tell brother Jason was very upset at me today when he walked in. You know, just the way he was looking at me. Right, bro? You know, I'm just kidding, bro. But a lot of times our eyes are what the windows into our souls, right? That's how we speak a lot, by the way that we see people. And I can just imagine the way Jesus looked at Zacchaeus and told him, let's go to your house. So it says he came down joyfully, received him joyfully. But notice what happens next. I've always told you guys that there's always going to be opposition. There's always going to be somebody that's negative. There's always going to be somebody that tells you, you know what, I see Eric going to church a lot. Who does he think he is? You know, I see Kayla going to church a lot. Who does she think he is? Sorry.
Like they say, there's always going to be haters.
There's always going to be somebody negative out there. There's always going to be negativity all over the place, but don't let that negativity bring you down. A lot of the times we see how people act around us, how people treat us, and we let that bring us down. You know, there's been situations in everybody's life where they probably felt like, this person doesn't like me, so I'm not going to talk to that person no more. I'm not going to go around that person. Oh, that person goes to church. Why? I'm not going to go to church no more because I don't want to see their ugly face. You know? But we can't think like that. We gotta know that God has a purpose for us, and we can't put our confidence on man, because man's always going to let us down. Human beings are always going to let us down. God will never let us down. God's always going to have our back. Jesus will always have our back, no matter what. But we're going to see right here what happens to Zacchaeus. He comes down and receives Jesus joyfully. And it says on verse 7, but when they saw it, they all complained, saying, has he gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner? Remember how people were looking at I was explaining to you. I'm going to bring that video so you guys can see it. And I'm going to play it just to see how much of a dirty look that we're giving this tax collector, you know? I can just imagine when people saw Zacchaeus, they're like, who does this guy think he is, you know? Rich guy over here trying to hang out amongst us poor people, you know, taking our money, you know, stealing our money, taking everything we have. And people saw that, and they said about Jesus, he has gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner. A lot of people are going to point fingers. They're going to be like, you're a sinner, bro. Who are you? Who do you think you are? You used to be this. You used to be that. You know, you used to say bad words. You used to hang out with the bad crowd in high school, in middle school, whatever it is. So that's what happened here. There's a lot of people, they saw that, and they're like, why has Jesus gone to this sinner's house? You know, why is he going to his house? Why can't he go to my house? A lot of people see something that other people have, and they're like, I want that. I want that shiny new car that Jesse has. I want that nice suit that Isaac has. You know, they can't stand other people having good things, so they complain and they say, why does this person have it? I deserve it because I'm this, I'm that. You know, people were complaining about why Jesus is going to this person's house. You know, but it's all about forgiveness. Jesus never sees anybody in the way that you might see yourself. He never sees you as a sinner. He sees you as somebody that can be redeemed. We can all be redeemed. No matter what we've done, we can all be redeemed. No matter what Zacchaeus did, no matter how much money he took from people, he could be redeemed. But that's the whole point behind this, is that you can be forgiven. No matter what you've done, you can be forgiven. You know, no matter what you've done in your past, how bad you treated your parents. You know, a lot of the times, I don't know about you guys, but kids do, you know, youth do bad things, and they think my mom's going to get so mad and never going to forgive me. You know, I'm going to tell you guys something personal. I remember I was maybe, I want to say Eric's age. You know, my dad had gotten into an accident, a DUI, and this was around Christmas time. He left the scene of the crash. He didn't stay there. He went home, and I remember maybe a couple nights later, the cops came knocking on the door, and they were asking for my dad. I was Eric's age. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't gonna be like, oh, he's not home. You know, he was in the room. I was like, oh yeah, he's in the room. So I told my dad, hey, the cops are looking for you. You know, I didn't know I was his age, bro. How was I supposed to know? You know, so they came in. Wow, that was a long restroom break, bro. We just missed the whole lesson. We're gonna have to start over because Alexis missed the whole lesson. The what? For what? You gonna go to the restroom? What? We're watching you, so you're gonna. So I remember the cops came knocking on the door. You know, I opened the door and they're like, "Is so and so here?" I'm like, I'm all scared. I don't know what to say. You know, yeah, he's right here. Let me go call him. So I go to the room and call him, and my dad gives me this look like, why didn't you tell him I'm here? So they took my dad. They arrested him. I didn't see him for another 2 years because he did 2 years in prison. You know, and then time on top of that because he got deported, and then he still had to come back. And I thought, you know, my dad's never gonna forgive me. He's gonna be upset at me. He's gonna be mad at me. He's not gonna see me no more. But that shows the love of a father. You know, that he didn't care about that. He probably didn't even remember. He didn't care about what had happened, you know. He was just so happy to see us when he came back that it was something that shows me a lot, you know. It shows you guys the true love of your parents, of your mom, of your dad, whoever it is, that they're willing to forgive. No matter what you do, they're willing to forgive you. A lot of the times we think I did something so bad that God will never forgive me. You know, but it's like I said, God didn't. What's that, bro?
I don't know. That's it.
You want to share with the class?
Yes.
You know, Jesus didn't look at Zacchaeus as a sinner, even though he was a sinner. He saw him as somebody that could be redeemed. Sister Letty?
On the, I guess, flip side of that, there's times when, you know, it's hard for us to forgive. We get mad over one little thing, and it takes a lot from us to forgive that person that has done us wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be something really insignificant. Maybe it was a misunderstanding where you thought they were looking bad at you, but they were really, you know, the sun was in their eyes and they really couldn't see you all that well. And, you know, and you take that and you get mad and it creates this anger in you that, you know, it's hard for you to forgive that other person. You know, as humans, it happens to us a lot, where it's really hard for us to forgive. Or sometimes we have that mentality of like, oh, well, you did this to me, well, I'm going to do this to you. You know, and then we start going back and forth with this person, and you just start carrying this anger in you that it just keeps going and building and building. And next thing you know, that anger becomes sin because now you're sinning against, this other person. So as believers, as, children of God, we need to ask God to help us. Please put those pictures away, thank you. We need to ask Him to, help us forgive the way that He forgives us. That no matter what we do, no matter what we say, no matter how many times we try to run away from Him, He always forgives us. You know how they say, He's always there with open arms ready to receive us.
And everything that I tell you guys is because I've been through it too. I've gotten mad at family members while I don't talk to them for 2 years. I spent 2 years not talking to my own mom because I was mad at her. So, 2 years, bro. Can you imagine going through 2 Christmases, 2 birthdays, not talking to her? 2 Mother's Days. 2 Sun's Days. Is there Sun's Days?
Sundays.
No, there's Sundays.
There should be Sun's Days. But because I was mad at her. I was mad at her, my sister. So I lost 2 years of that time that I could have spent, enjoying my mom. She's still around. She's not gone. My dad's gone now. He left us since 2012. He passed away from cancer, But my mom is still here, and I wasted 2 years, even after knowing that how easy it was to lose a parent. I wasted 2 years of my life not talking to my mom because I couldn't forgive her. But it's like Sister Letty. It said, Jesus wants us to forgive just like He forgave us. None of us are clean. None of us have come here being perfect angels. Sometimes when at work, when me and my coworkers sometimes we'll start arguing, and I'll be like, well, it was your fault, bro. I'll be like, oh yeah, you're a saint, bro. You didn't do nothing, right? None of us are saints. None of us come here, free of any blemishes. Let me read to you guys Luke 6, chapter 6, verse 37. You guys don't have to go there, but I'll read it. It says 37. It says, "Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven." A lot of the times when you forgive somebody, they might not forgive you, but you know what? Praise God. I forgave that person. I let it go, and that's up to them if they want to forgive you. A lot of the times they won't forgive you. A lot of the times they're still going to hold that grudge. A lot of the times they're still going to be talking behind your back, saying, who does this person think he is, this and that. But at least you know that you've forgiven this person, but don't forgive them and just say, I'm sorry, and don't be sorry.
Yeah, forgive them with your heart and
Forgive them with
Forgive, not forget.
let it go.
Let it go, yeah.
Let it go.
A lot of times.
Don't bring it back in a month, in 2 months, in a year, 3 years. Remember when you yelled at me? No. Once you really forgive somebody, you let it go. You don't bring it up anymore. You move on.
Preach, Lord, preach.
And it's true, a lot of us forgive. We forgive, but just to say I'm sorry. That word I'm sorry gets thrown around so much that at times it doesn't mean anything anymore. I'm sorry, Kayla, for kicking you. I'm sorry, Carlos, for tripping you when you were going to class. I'm sorry, Jason, for telling you this. I'm sorry, James, for telling you that. It just gets thrown a lot nowadays that it has no meaning anymore. It's just like a word. It's a word that we don't even mean anymore.
Have you guys ever gotten an apology from somebody that says, I guess I'm sorry?
Melissa.
Or an apology of, well, I'm sorry if you got offended. That's not really an apology, because that's basically telling you, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I don't feel that way, but you do it, I'm sorry that you do. That's not an apology. That's not an apology from the heart.
And think about this, guys. To put this into perspective. Jesus gave His life for us. He forgave us for our sins. Can you guys really capture the concept of what I'm saying? He gave His life for us. Have you guys ever seen a good example is The Passion of the Christ? Have you guys ever seen that movie? You guys see how He was getting beat, how people were spitting on Him, people were kicking Him on his way to get crucified, and yet He did that for us. He forgave us. A lot of times we forget about God because we're mad at God. God didn't give me that new toy that I wanted. My parents didn't give me that new toy that I wanted. So we get mad at them, but little do we know our parents might be trying to do that, or maybe they can't, when I was younger, we didn't have money, so I didn't have a lot of luxuries that I might have now, you know? A lot of times, you guys at home might not have that luxury. Maybe you do. I honestly don't know how your life at home is, but a lot of times we get mad at God, we get mad at our parents because they don't get us something that we want. And then again, once we get happy, we're like, okay, I forgive you, I'm sorry. Imagine Jesus was on that cross and said, you know what, you guys aren't worth it. He could have easily been like that, walked off of that cross and said, I'm not gonna do it, bless you, bro. He could have easily done that after going through that beating, after getting spit on, after getting kicked. He could have easily been like, I'm out of here, and could have just walked away.
I think about it, sometimes maybe he felt that first punch and he was like, nope, you all are on your own. You know?
And he came here in flesh and blood, so he felt everything that we feel. The temptations for him were real. You know, everything was real for him. He came here in flesh and blood. Imagine if he would have seen Zacchaeus and would have been like, I don't want to talk to this little guy. He's a tax collector.
He's short.
He's too short. He takes money from the people. And he didn't see him. I want you guys just to know that if you guys capture anything today, if you guys understand something, I want you guys to know that Jesus doesn't see us as sinners, but he sees us as somebody that can be redeemed. Somebody that can be redeemed for their sins. You know, somebody that he can use. And I'm gonna go ahead and start finishing this message because I see a lot of you guys are falling asleep. So he came down joyfully, and then the people are saying, you know, they're talking about Jesus, saying he is gonna be a guest with a man who is a sinner. And then in verse 8 it says, then Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, Lord, look, Lord, I give half of my goods to the poor. And if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold. So he didn't just say, God, I'm sorry, Jesus, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop collecting taxes. He said he's going to give half of what he had to the poor. How many of you guys can imagine giving half of what you have to people that are less fortunate, I guess? Imagine giving everything of what you have. Sister Damaris, whatever you have, think about it. Cut it in half and give it to somebody that needs it. You know, Sister Jocelyn, Hermano Franco, imagínese dando todo, la mitad de todo lo que tiene a alguien que no tiene nada. That's what Zacchaeus did. He gave half of what he had and gave it to the poor. He didn't just say, I'm sorry, forgive me. He meant it. He gave half of what he had. Half. And then he says, if I have ever stolen from anybody, I'll return it back to them fourfold, meaning times 4. If he took $100 from somebody, he's going to give him back $400. I think Zacchaeus took some money from me too. Where's my money? Zacchaeus, where's my stimmy, Zacchaeus? And it says, and then Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house because he is also a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost. That's where the message is at. Again, he didn't come for those that were already good, that were already, you know, hey, this person's not a sinner. He came for the sinner. He came for those that were lost. He came to redeem us. He came to redeem those that needed to be redeemed. He doesn't see you as a sinner, but he sees you as somebody that can be redeemed. Any comments, questions, concerns? I see a lot of ladies taking down a lot of notes. I'm very impressed. None of it except for Jesse. Jesse put on the bottom, redeemed. Any comments? Any questions? Any concerns? And that brings me to the end, which is the name of my message.
Sorry.
It's not part of the lesson.
Jocelyn wants to say something.
No.
Go ahead, sister.
No, it's not part of the lesson.
Okay.
I'm just asking, are we going to do cartilage?
No. It's illegal.
We need to ask Pastor see what he wants to do.
You too can be redeemed. No matter what you've done, no matter if you think, you know, your parents won't forgive you for this. You know, I've done too much bad, I've done this, I've done that. You too can be redeemed. Just like Zacchaeus was forgiven by Jesus, you too can be forgiven. comments, questions, concerns?
Can we
Anybody?
say thank you to Brother Frank for that lesson? So again, if you guys didn't take notes, if you guys were just listening, that's totally fine. I just want you to take with you guys forgiveness. You know, and when you guys do ask for forgiveness, or when you guys do forgive somebody that has done you wrong, forgive them with your heart. Don't just brush it off and say, yeah, you know, I forgive you, whatever. Like, leave me alone. Like, really mean it. You know, don't live with that hurt in your heart, because you might not feel it right now, but it starts building up in your heart, and later on, you'll just explode. Or you'll just, you know, something else will happen. You'll carry that hate with you, that anger with you, and that's something that, you know, we shouldn't carry with us. Like I said, forgive like God forgives us. You know, just like Zacchaeus, you know, he never thought, you know, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be, you know, God's gonna see me. You know, but like Brother Frank said, like, your size doesn't matter, your age doesn't matter, you know, the color of your skin doesn't matter. God sees you as you are.
My weight doesn't matter.
And He made you exactly the way that you are. You know, whether you're short, whether you're tall, whether you're skinny, whether you're chunky, you know, God loves you. Chunky dunky. You know, God loves you just the way that you are. You know, when society says you can't do it because you're a girl, or you can't do it because you're a boy and you're short, you can do it. God says you can do it. And with God behind you, having your back and leading you every step of the way, you can do it. You know, anything is possible with Him. Don't limit yourself. You know, set that goal high, set that limit high. Pray to God, ask Him for guidance. He will be there. He will guide you. He will help you through any situation. Anything that you guys are going through, if you guys have, you know, any issues or anything that you're feeling, or anything that you really need prayer over, you know, let us know. We're here. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, did you hear what Brother Jesse said? Did you hear what he wants prayer for? No, we're not here to judge you guys. We're here to help you guys. You know, like Brother Frank was telling you guys yesterday, every day, every time we come to prayer, anytime we're here praying, we're always praying for you guys, because we know that your age is hard. Whether you're 10 years old or you're 22 years old, it's hard. Life is hard, especially in this day and age. There's so many things out there. There's so many temptations. There's going to be so many people, you know, against you. And it's true. It's life. So many people are going to be naysayers. So many people are going to want to bring you down because of who you are. You know, so just stay strong. Don't let people get into your head. Don't let people tell you that you can't do it, because yes, you can do it. You know, pray about your shyness. Pray about, you know, that awkwardness that you might feel in front of a group of people, and God will help you. Like I said, personally, I was like, okay, I'm okay with younger kids. I can talk to them. They won't give me attitude or much attitude, and, you know, I can get their attention for a little bit. I don't know about youth, you know, that's a whole nother spectrum for me, but, you know, with God's help and with God's guidance, you know, I can stand up here and give you guys, you know, words of encouragement, and let you guys know that we honestly, even though we've only been here for how many months did we say that we were? 8 months? No, taking over
since February.
Since February with that. 4 months, like, we really do care about you guys. We really do. You know, it hurts us when you guys are not here. It hurts us, you know, to see you guys sad, to see you guys, you know, feeling, you know, angry or some type of way. Like, it hurts us. You know, I was telling Pastor, like, I see them like my kids, and I kind of want to, you know, direct them in a different way, you know, when they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. And honestly, if I ever call you guys out in front of class or outside for doing something you shouldn't be doing, I'm not doing it to be mean towards you guys, to be, you know, angry or judgmental, you know. It's just because I want the best for you guys, you know, and I don't want you guys to take that wrong and, you know, think that I'm, you know, judging you guys or whatever. I'm not. Honestly, it comes from a good place, and like I told Brother Frank the other day, like, sometimes I feel like I care too much, because I'm just like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. I need to go tell them not to do that. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, okay, you need to calm down, because You're not their mom, and I don't want, parents to get upset about it. So just know that, it comes from a good place. I'm never going to tell you, don't do this to be mean. Or don't say this to be mean. Or stop looking at pictures to be mean. But thank you guys for being here. Hope Saturday we'll have the songs. Worship team will have the songs. Like I said, talk amongst you guys and come to an agreement with something. We'll start practicing hopefully Saturday during class, Sunday during class as well. We'll set time aside for this, and for the play, we might have to set some time aside during the week.
Fridays.
Sometime during the week.
Who works Fridays? Bro, put your hand down. You don't even work. You don't. Oh yeah, you do. I don't. I say you don't work. You don't work anymore, do you?
What time? What's your end time at work? What do you take?
I'm usually home by 5. My shift is usually 8 to 3 or 3 to 10. I'm usually on Fridays, usually 3 to 10 for like
10 at night?
I mean, we can get
So
together.
we might have to get together at 10 at night then.
Oh, you're not down.
For the for the goal?
No, for my daughter. Okay, July 21st.
Jason's thinking about golf.
No, for that day I was thinking